What's going on, guys, and welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Jason, and on this channel you'll find videos on personal finance, investing, and money related topics. If you're into any of those videos, be sure to hit the subscribe button down below so you don't miss out on future content. In today's video, I'm going to be doing something a little bit different than I normally do on this channel, and I'm going to be doing a stock analysis on Apple. So there's three things that I'll be going through today. Number one is that I'll go over any current news that there is about Apple or in the future. Number two is I'll go over their financial statements. And number three, I'll give my opinion about Apple and what I think about the company and where I see it going in the future. And with that being said, let's jump right into today's video. And also, one thing I forgot to mention, I will also be going over Apple's 4-to-1 stock split that is happening. And I'll touch on what it means for current investors and future investors. The next little while will kind of be exciting for Apple because there are new gadgets that we are expecting to see in 2020 or in the foreseeable future. So products that we should be expecting from Apple this year are obviously the iPhone 12. There's also the Apple Watch Series 6, the HomePod, high-end over-the-ear headphones, and a low-cost iPad. If you've been paying attention to what Apple has been doing recently, you would have noticed that Apple did acquire Canada's MobiWave for about $100 million. Now, making this deal, it does push Apple further into the mobile payments business. Now, if you're unfamiliar with MobiWave, their technology lets shoppers tap their credit card or smartphone on another phone to process a payment. And by doing this type of a move, this would put Apple into a more direct competition with Square, which currently is a leading provider of payment hardware and software for smartphones and tablets. Now this year, Apple has done several deals, including this one, where it also recently acquired the weather app Dark Sky and virtual reality content broadcasting company NextVR. They've also acquired Inductive to help improve with Siri and artificial intelligence. And they've also acquired Fleetsmith for enterprise device management. And with Apple doing these types of deals, the company definitely has a very bright future ahead of them. Now let's jump into the numbers for Apple and see what they're doing. Now let's start off by taking a look at the 5-year chart for Apple and just taking a look at how the company has progressed. And as you can see, this company has been steadily increasing and making new highs every single time. And in my opinion, I think they'll continue to do this in the future as well. And with a market cap of about $1.867 trillion, Apple is a very stable company in my opinion. And if we take a look at Apple's 52-week range, the lowest they've seen their price go is $192.58, and their price has peaked at $446.55. Currently, Apple has a beta of 1.18 with a PE ratio of 33.05. And Apple also does pay a dividend of about 0.77%. And if you take a look at Apple's earnings, as you can see, year over year, quarter over quarter, they have been beating their expectations. And if you take a look at their annual financials, you can see that the revenue has been steadily increasing and has stayed the same roughly around the 2019 area. And the earnings have also kind of evened out as well. And if we go into the financials for the quarterly, you can see here that Q1, Q2 of 2020, they have taken a little bit of a hit compared to Q4 of 2019. And that's obviously due to the pandemic. And if we come down and take a look at the recommended rating by the analysts, currently they've given Apple a 2.1, which is a buy. And the analyst price target is currently at $409.42, whereas currently the Apple share price is above that at $435.75. And if we take a look at Apple's dividend summary, they have a 5-year growth rate of about 10.49%, and they've been consistently growing their dividends for the last 7 years. And taking a look at Apple's PEG ratio, currently they're at 2.34, and their price to book ratio, they're at 25.19. And Apple's profit margin is sitting at 21.33%, and their return on equity is sitting at 69.25%. Okay, so let's jump right into Apple's financial statements. And when you click into it, the first one that pops up is their income statement. So let's break this down and see how they did. Now, we'll be covering the 3 months end and the 9 months end. And their numbers look pretty crazy even during the pandemic. So if you take a look at the net sales for their products, you can see here at the 9-month end, it's increased pretty strongly from 162 billion to 170 billion. And moving over to the 3-month, again, it has jumped up from 42 billion to about 46 billion. And taking a look at their net sales for their services, which includes their App Store, iCloud, Apple Pay, Apple Music, and that too has jumped up on a 9-month from almost $34 billion to $39 billion. And if you take a look at the 3-month, again, this company is showing very strong numbers. And the crazy part is, if you take a look at their cost of sales, meaning how much it costs them to produce their products or services and how much to sell it for, just look at that margin that they have. For example, if you take a look at their services, here it shows it cost them about $4.3 billion to earn them a little over $13 billion. Now that's insane. And take a look at the total number of the net sales that they've been producing. This company is on absolute fire. And even just below that, looking at the gross margin on a 9-month and a 3-month, Apple is literally showing no sign of slowing down. And right below that, if we take a look at Apple's operating income, just take a look at the 9-month, it has jumped from 48 billion up to $51 billion. And on the 3-month, currently they're sitting at $13 billion, and that's up from the $11 million that they did previous. And also, if you take a look at their earnings per share, you can see that they got tons of money to pay out their dividends that they're paying out currently. And I'm pretty confident over the years, Apple will continue to grow their dividends. And right below that, you can see that they've also been buying back some of the shares. Whereas most companies during the pandemic, they'll be offering more shares to gather more capital. But Apple, on the other hand, they're actually buying back the shares. As you can see here on the 9-month end, it's dropped down. And also on the 3-month end, it's also dropped down as well. And if you take a look at their net sales, you can see which area they're dominating in. And as you can see, they're currently dominating in North America, followed by Europe, and then Greater China, Japan, and then the rest of Asia. And despite being in the middle of a pandemic, you can see their numbers have been growing very, very healthy. And right below that, you can see the net sales by category, and their iPhone sales obviously have the bulk of their business, followed by their MacBook lineup, and then their iPad lineup, and also their wearables, home and accessories, and then their services. And this too does have a healthy increase despite being in the midst of a pandemic and the whole world pretty much being on lockdown. And even with them closing some of their stores, they're still seeing pretty good increases in their sales. I guess everyone is just at home spending their stimulus checks. And if we move on to Apple's balance sheet, you can see here that they've got tons of cash, and their balance sheet just looks very, very pristine. And you can see here their cash and cash equivalents and their marketable securities, they've got a pretty hefty amount of cash on hand. But one thing to do keep in mind, if you scroll down here and you take a look at their term debt, you can see here it is pretty hefty. I'm sure they've had to take out some sort of loan, but again, any type of loan that this company will take out, obviously it won't be the same interest rate like you and I would pay. And moving on to Apple's cash flow statement, and looking at the cash flows from the 9-month, you can see here that it has jumped out quite a bit. And if you take a look at the repayments of term debt, they are paying down their long-term debt, which obviously is a good thing. And like I mentioned on Apple's income statement previously, how they are buying back shares. Here you can see the repurchase of common stock, because obviously they are buying back some of their stocks. Overall, in terms of numbers, Apple is doing a phenomenal job, even when we're in the middle of a global pandemic and some of their stores have been shut down due to it. And just like I showed you, their numbers have been increasing from a 9-month end, even on a 3-month end. So in terms of that, they are pretty healthy. And I quickly do want to touch on Apple's 4-to-1 stock split that is going to be happening soon, and what it means if you're a current investor or if you're looking to invest into Apple. Now in Apple's history, this is their 5th stock split that they're doing. So this 4-to-1 stock split will be happening on August 24th, meaning if you own 1 share of Apple, that will turn into 4 shares of Apple. And Apple's stock price will go from about $400 to about $100 when the split happens. And this split will also be reflected in Apple's dividend. Now, if you're currently invested into Apple, you're not going to be losing any money because that split will equal out to the amount of shares that you currently hold with Apple. And obviously it'll have zero impact on Apple's fundamentals or the market value of Apple. And this stock split will simply just mean Apple will be more appealing to a broader base of investors, where a lower stock price can actually make it easier for new investors to jump in and invest into Apple, compared to the price where it is right now at about $400 per share. So my overall opinion on Apple as a company is that this company will continue to dominate in its industry, and they'll continue to grow as a business, because as time goes on, they'll be coming out with better and better products and services to cater to their current customers. And trust me, Apple does have a very loyal customer base, which is a really positive thing to any company. And that's all I got for you today. If you made it to the end of the video, thank you for watching all the way through. And be sure to give this video a like, as it does help with the YouTube algorithm and it helps out the channel as well. If you're new or you just haven't subscribed yet, be sure to hit the red button down below so you don't miss out on future content like this. And just like that, guys, I'll see you on the next video.